Today on the show, I'm going to show you how to get more stuff done so you can accelerate the success of your consulting business.
I will never be the same, 'cause that's what it takes.
Hi, my name's Russell Pearson, and this is the Your Consulting Business Podcast, episode 147. Today on the show, I'm going to give you the 3 different steps that we recommend to get not only just focus in your business, but how to actually accelerate the results, knowing specifically what to do at what time, in what order, so that you can build a much more successful consulting business fast. By the way, I'm often speaking to consultants who didn't realize they could subscribe to the show for free, which means that you can actually go and click the subscribe button, and then if you ring the bell that comes up, it'll actually notify you when the next show becomes available. Now, the first step to build a successful business is to actually know where you want to go. What does it actually look like? When I speak to most consultants, they have a sort of a generalized idea of the direction that they want to go, but they couldn't actually say what it looked like when it's done. So they don't know what they're actually trying to build. And so that's why mentorship is actually such a useful activity, because if you haven't been there before, how would you know what it looks like? And so even in my world, when I haven't created something before, when I haven't achieved a result before, I will go and get a mentor who can help me define what it looks like when it's done, when it is running successful, when I am achieving the thing I want to achieve. What should it look like? What will I be doing? And is that something I even want in my world? That's why I seek mentors early rather than late when I run into trouble, so that I know that I'm building in the right direction from day one. And so having a visual intention, what does it look like when I'm in there day to day? What are the numbers that I should be expecting? What should I be trying to achieve, rather than trying to work it out on my own? You know, there's people out there who go, well, I should have 50 clients. I should have 100 clients by the time I reach, $1.2 million. But the question is, what does that look like in a day-to-day basis? Do you know? Have you actually spoken to a mentor who's had that scenario in their world before? What does it mean to work 4 days a week? What does that actually mean for you in your lifestyle? What sort of work are you doing in those 4 days? And so having a conversation with someone who has been there before, helping you maybe mentor through the process, or at least create a plan, will allow you to get a visual about what you're trying to achieve. And then each day you can look at that visual and say, from where I am now, what is one thing that's going to move me closer to that reality? And by doing that, you got a clear focus on where you're going, which enables you to not go left, not go right, and actually get distracted by 1,000 different things that are trying to distract you every day. When you've got that clear vision, you know exactly where you're going, and it's going to accelerate, yes, your focus, but then the activity that flows. Now, the second thing that all successful consulting business has is a default diary. It is a diary that has default tasks in it every single week. These are the non-negotiable times where we do things that make the business work. Why do we need a default diary? Because everybody out there in the world is trying to steal your time. And given half a chance, your clients will eat up that time, which will prevent you from growing your business in the direction that you want. And so the key thing about a default diary is putting time in your diary every week where you focus on the key activities. Now, your business will be different and unique to yours, but it will have things like finance. Do I look at the P&L? Do I actually look at my expenses? Do I look at ways to improve the financials of the business? Does it have marketing in there? Does it have sales in there? Does it have spaces for employment and team development? Where is the place for R&D, research and development, or rip off and redistribute, right? There are things inside the business that need to happen on a weekly, if not monthly basis. And if they're not in the diary, what's going to happen is that other appointments will come and steal your time. Founders who run a solo practice, which is the majority of consultants out there, are the most important person in their business. If the client disappeared, you can always go and get another client, right? If the team member disappears, you can always go and get another team member. But if you disappear, the business stops running. So the appointments with yourself are the most important appointments in your calendar. So you don't give them to other people. You might have your absolute best client who wants to take that time out of your calendar. Let's say it's 10 o'clock on a Tuesday. They go, can I have it? The 10 o'clock on Tuesday appointment. You say, no, that's not available, right? Because you are the most important person in the business, not that client. So let's say your third best client or your second best client wanted to take the appointment of your first client. You're not going to let that happen. So don't let that happen for you. So there are specific things in your calendar, specific times allocated to specific activities in your calendar. These are in by default, and every successful consulting business has these in their diary. The third way to accelerate your success is to systemize it. Most consultants are out there trying stuff. They're out there trying this, or I tried that. And rather than do that, there are ways to become successful much faster by putting not only a process in place, but putting a system in it so that you're not the one who has to do it. Manual things within a business are painful because they require willpower. And some days we've got willpower and some days we don't. And so if you systemize the elements that you know are working in a business, then it will work even if you're not the one doing it. So how can you create those systems? Well, there are systems in finance to enable you to become profitable. One of those is actually here in this book, Profit First. Now, Profit First is a fantastic book and a system that I've implemented for myself as well that enables you to have profit the moment you make cash. And so it's a system that enables you to keep some of that profit as the first step that you take before you even move to other expenses. So using systems like Profit First, using systems like lead magnets that enable people to sign up for your stuff while you sleep, which means that you'll get leads every morning. I get about 10 leads a day that don't happen because I went and connected with somebody, but because I built a system around it. There is useful lead magnets. These are things, resources that people will find valuable, and people sign up to them. And when they sign up to them, they get given that thing as an automated email. And so again, that's a systemized approach, and people can log on to that landing page that allows them to get that resource 24/7. In fact, if you go to russellpearsonprograms.com, you will see an example of how it works. But that enables people to sign up while I'm not there, while I'm not doing things, right? I could be walking in the mountains or I could be sleeping at night, and people are still signing up in different areas of the world. So there are all sorts of systems that you can put into your business. There are systems for recruiting. There are systems for marketing. There are systems for sales. There are systems for finance and all the other elements that are part of a successful consulting practice. But do you have systems in place? Now, I'm not suggesting that you go and just put a system in place and assume that it's going to work. To build a system, you almost always need to build a manual process first. You take these steps and then you prove that they work. And as soon as they work, you then automate them into a system so they work without you. That is the game. That's how you get leverage in a consulting business like this. Otherwise, you're doing everything. So to give you an example, I have a virtual assistant and she reaches out to 40 new contacts every single day, and she does that day in, day out. Now, I could potentially use a robot to do that, but I really like having people speaking to people. And so by her connecting with those people every single day, I'm not needing to, but my contact list grows. And so what are the systems, whether they be human systems, whether they be virtual intelligence, whether they be machine-based systems that are enabling you to actually spend more time on the things that you should be spending time on and less time on the things that are going to take willpower to enable you to become successful. It can be challenging to run a consulting business on willpower alone. I say stay passionate all the time because there are so many business owners that get disillusioned, they get exhausted, they get wrung out by trying to do all these things without the support of the systems and the default diary and a real focus on what they're actually trying to achieve. Now, if you're one of those people who gets to the end of the week and you're like, where did all the time go? I got nothing done. Then I suggest just taking a couple of weeks, do an audit of your time. Print out some timesheets that might go 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., log 15-minute intervals and say, what did I do in that time? At the end of 2 weeks, review it. What are the things that were either urgent but shouldn't have happened? What are the things that were urgent and important, the things that we manage, the things that are worth doing, they're the things that we put in our default diary, maybe diarize some time to get those done. What are the things that really someone else should have done rather than us? Can we bring in a virtual assistant, an artificial intelligence, or a system to do that for us? Or finally, what are the things that we should have just deleted? What are the things that really were only a distraction because someone else said that they were important? They're not actually important for us in our consulting business. There'll be time. There'll be all sorts of time that is available in that diary. And by putting the default diary in, it enables you to actually grow on a weekly basis. You know, the first time I did this, I had a mentor that suggested I put 1 hour each week where I would focus on the growth of the business. And that accelerated my business in the first year 300%. And so putting that hour in, we call it the CEO hour, is an important step to enable you just room to think. And once you've got that room to think, you can prioritize. And once you prioritize, you can actually put actions into action and get stuff completed. Once it's completed, you'll start to feel that momentum and you'll feel far more confident about the successful consulting business that you are building. My name is Russell Pearson. This is the Your Consulting Business Podcast, episode 147. Until next time, stay passionate, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.